Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Welcome to Declaration of Independence with Patrick Rooney, where we discuss how to become more independent in a world that is moving quickly to take away your freedom. All right, welcome everybody to Declaration of Independence Live. And I saw you in the background there, Martin, one of my guests. I was hoping you would watch the beginning, man. We put blood, sweat, and tears into that opening. But you'll have to watch it. You'll have to watch it on the, when I bring you up, I'm going to chastise you. You'll have to watch it on the replay. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the opening. We are doing a different kind of show. We're doing our regular live show tonight, but we're throwing a little bit of the elements of the new show that I've started called Declaration of Independence. And basically, Declaration of Independence is taking what we're already doing in old school, natural health, success, and freedom, and really accentuating the freedom part of this and the independence that we need. We need independence from the existing system, which is just gone crazy. We have to have independence. And we also have, there's a kind of another meaning to that word, which is independence, is that's what we need to strive for. And we need independence in this world. Because if we don't have independence, we're finished in this world and in the next. So with that said, I'm going to bring my guests on. I have Robert Campbell. Hello, Robert.
How you doing?
With his Trump hat on. Right on.
Absolutely right. Yes.
Good to see you. Robert is an artist and a writer, Rapture Ready and Rapture Forums.
That's correct.
And he's been writing there for a long time. Very popular, by the way. So I'm going to give his contact information out later. We've had Robert on a lot of shows. Agree, disagree, doesn't matter. He's still my friend. I'm still his friend. And hopefully you guys will be benefited from what you hear from us discussing. Let me bring on the Bible go-to guy, Martin Francis. Excuse me. Sorry, didn't mean to insult. You're known as that in the old days, the Bible go-to guy. And you didn't see the opening, huh? You were running away fixing your background. I saw you.
Oh, yeah. No, I saw it. I saw all the different photos of Xi Jinping and the bad guy Putin and all those guys. Yeah, I saw it. It's a good opening.
That's right. Thank you, man.
Scary people.
Yeah, they really are. Let's we're going to get your contact information as well later. And we're also bringing on Brian Misuraca. Hey, Brian.
Hi, Pat.
Hey, Brian is here.
Brady Bunch.
This is the patriotism is not in short supply here in this group, apparently. He's got Brian is a really smart dude, very articulate, a cool dude. Known him for years and years, and known all these guys.
Yeah,
known all these guys for a long time. So it's really my pleasure to have them on, and it's fun to have you meet them as well. And Brian has his what do you call, bar in the background and his squat rack. I've been trying to push Brian into powerlifting before the show. Brian is. Can we say your age? Is that okay?
Sure.
64 going on 65.
65 next month.
65 next month. And this guy's an animal. I trained this guy in the past, and he's an animal in the gym. And he's got amazing strength and durability where he can go forever. He does ocean swimming, all sorts of crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And I told him this guy I've been in powerlifting. I did a little bit just for fun. and I loved it. And I always loved powerlifting, but I've had so many injuries that I don't get all that high up in terms of strength or anything. But
well, it's like I say, the only qualification I have to be on the show is I can bench press 225 for reps.
yeah, that's a good qualification. But I told
Besides that, I'm dumb as a rock. Okay.
yeah, but I told you, I know, but I told you in your age group, man, you will clean up. And Brian is still going up in strength. Isn't that amazing? At his age, he's still going up in strength. You know what? I need to interview you one of these days about some of that stuff, Brian. We did an interview in the past. We need to do, that's one thing that I want to bring into Declaration of Independence is do some more in-depth interviews. I did one with Robert, which I thought came out really great. I did one with Brian, same way. And I want to do more with you guys. I need to do one with Martin when you're ready to talk more. Maybe you're always ready to talk, aren't you?
I manage.
Sometimes
understated. I can't stop talking, and sometimes I want to be quiet.
Understated as always.
Hey, Martin.
Yeah.
I want. Do you remember when when y'all had to come up with a new name for the Bible Answer Man, and you had a contest to pick out a new name?
Yeah.
And you remember the guy that said that came up with the word Wordman? I don't know if you remember that.
Oh.
No.
Yeah. That they picked that first, which I picked and won that, and then the owner, you know who I'm talking about, didn't like it and went with the Bible Go-To Man.
Huh.
What did you, hey, Robert? What did you come up? I was looking at comments already. What did you say? What was your choice?
I came up with the Wordman.
Oh, Wordman.
And Martin liked it, and we was going to go with that, but the owner, who I'm talking about, didn't like it.
You got
overruled. Got overruled, and he wanted the Go-To Bible Man instead of the Bible Answer Man.
Oh,
well, no, it's the Bible Go-To guy, which kind of sounds more catchy, actually.
Yeah,
I think that's why I went with it.
I like
it.
I can't complain.
I just want you to know that's where I remember you at.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. Robert, used to write some great letters, and I read a lot of your letters in the old days when I was at Bond in the old days. Okay. But he wrote some great letters, and that's how I knew about Robert to begin with, and we started a friendship after that. Brian, I've known for years and years. These other guys, Martin, I've known for years and years, as I mentioned on other shows. Want to say hello to everybody. Thank you to Mind Over Energy holding down the chat for us. Thank you, sir. And Fabian, Mr. Sandy LaFontaine. Okay, that's not your real name. But anyway, people in the chat. So hello, chat. We're going to talk about something today, a movie that some of you have seen, that I have seen. Yeah, I say that I can't even get away with saying the name on this platform.
Just say 2,000 elephants.
2,000 elephants. If you, again, as I said last week, if you lose me on this platform, you can always go to oldschoolus.com. Okay, guys? You can always go to oldschoolus.com to reach me. Okay. And if we need to go on another platform in the future, so be it. As I told Robert at the beginning of the show, we're trying to do it on this platform because I built up an audience here. There's people that watch, and as much as we can, if we can get as much truth out on this platform as possible. If that becomes impossible, then we're going to have to go to plan B, and we'll go on another platform. I'll go on Odyssey or possibly Rumble, but probably Odyssey. But the name of the movie, I can't even, say right now. It's so ridiculous on this platform.
There it is.
But it's really crazy when you have to go old school style here and write on a whiteboard, right?
They even allow that?
I don't know. If they don't, so be it, right?
Right.
Who knows? But anyway, that's what it is. I urge, first of all, I want to get into get your feelings on the movie, guys, or thoughts on the movie. But I want to first say the point, first of all, of this show. A friend of mine was asking me, why am I saying 2,000 donkeys? I wasn't trying to make a put down. I was just avoiding the title. And donkeys, I think, actually is appropriate in a way because donkeys also stands for Democrats. And the people who were doing the shenanigans were by and large Democrats, right? or even further to the left. Maybe don't even call themselves Democrats. Maybe just further to the left.
Is there anything further to the left than a Democrat?
Well, there are many umbrellas under Democrats. You've got your lefty, real lefties. You got your communist Greens. You've got all sorts of people.
Socialists.
Yeah, Democrat, socialists. You got the whole thing. So
you got the traitors like Manchin.
Yeah, well, yeah, that actually
they're calling him a traitor now.
Actually voted for something sensible, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so the point of this show today, I wasn't gonna get in and name every point that I think is great in the movie or whatever. The point is to first encourage people to see this movie, right? Everybody should go see this movie. There's a way to do that. There's a website and all that. And we'll get into more of that later. So everybody should see it and make up your own mind. I'm not here to tell you how to think. I'm here to show you that there's stuff available. And I say my hat's off. I think I can use the guy's name who made the movie, hopefully. I don't know.
I don't know, man. That sounds risky.
But I admire this man for putting out the truth and doing it in a way that is accessible to the average person. He knows how to make movies. He knows how to make them well. He did one on Obama. He did one on Trump, both great movies. And he did one now. And he's a very good filmmaker, a very smart guy. I think he's a decent guy and very well-spoken guy. So that's my little plug for him. You guys can jump in when you want. You want? Yeah, I thought somebody was jumping already on me.
No. I of course, I hope we all saw the movie.
Okay.
I saw 40 minutes of it.
I'm going to give Robert an excuse because I kind of yelled at him last night. We had a conversation and it was really good. Some of these conversations would be great to get. That's why I want to do more one-on-one interviews. I think people would really get a lot out of some of the conversations we have behind the scenes, whether we're right or wrong or whatever, just to see people interact and throw ideas at each other and listen to each other, hopefully.
But seeing 40 minutes of the movie, believe it or not, I saw enough. I know where it was going and how everything was set up. So I think I have some input I would like to say on this.
Yeah, okay. The rest of the movie, Robert, was just different ways that they were
correct
cheating.
Right, just like the same way that the Pillow Man did his 1 hour documentary. It was almost the same.
Mr. Pillow, yeah.
The way they were telling how they did that. The Pillow Man, yeah.
My Pillow.
My Pillow. And
it's not a commercial, but if he wants to back me, that's fine. Go ahead.
Maybe we shouldn't have even said that because
I don't know. Yeah, maybe I can't.
But it had the same. It had the same presentation. How they were doing the cheating through the computers and the network, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Seeing 40 minutes of it, it's all people like us that understands computers and how things work. Yeah, I saw it, but the average person, that's no proof. It's just talk. They were showing what the guys were doing, and they're showing how the computers and the phones they ping each other and all that. I understood that very well, but to actually have an average person understand that is going right over their head. That's not proof.
I don't think
so. So they're I'll let you guys. They're just to explain. So they're talking about in 2000 donkeys. They're talking about these donkeys more or less. I can say the word separately. I think they're talking about I don't know mules. And
come on, Pat.
That might be too much. That might be too much, huh?
That was.
And these guys are paid to drop ballots off into boxes, right? That's the whole thing. And they found these guys, they pinged them. They got a lot of information from cellular information to find out exactly where they were and when and how many times they were going by the same drop box and that kind of thing. And they kind of pretty much showed that certain people were going by there a lot and basically stuffing ballot. And you're not in many states, you're not allowed to make money off of taking people's ballots and putting them in boxes.
Oh, in most states, you're not allowed to take anybody's ballot to a drop box unless they're part of your family. Part of your family.
That's right.
But that shouldn't even be allowed.
Well, that's even a little questionable.
Like you could drop off your wife's, your wife's ballot at a drop box.
No.
But that's the limit. You know, D'Souza, he's just the producer of this movie, of this documentary. Yeah. But most of the brains behind the evidence of the subject matter was gathered by, well, there's two people that were really behind it. Catherine Engelbright.
Yes, from
True the Vote.
True the Vote, okay.
And she was working with this highly experienced election data analyst. The guy's been doing it for like 30, 40 years. And you can actually buy what's called geo-tracking data, where they can track where your cell phone goes it's called geo-tracking. And it's very accurate. It's accurate to the device within about 18 inches. They know wherever that device went. And they bought hundreds of terabytes of data from
apparently it is accurate, by the way, and we're hearing people that are trying to say it's not accurate.
Law enforcement uses it.
Who does?
Law enforcement has convicted people in court using this evidence.
There you go. So it's accurate.
And they bought this terabyte information, this geo-tracking terabyte information from some large cities that were predominantly Democratic bastions, places like Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Atlanta, Detroit, you know, and they researched it and studied the data, and they looked for overlapping. They had criteria that said, if a person went to this was the criteria, if they went to more than 10 drop boxes and dropped off more than 10 ballots, and also visited at least all three criteria, and visited at least 5 different nonprofit or Democratic organizations, then they met the criteria of a mule. Then they defined them as a mule, and it's a mule like in the drug business, where the bad man, the guy that carries the drugs or the guy that carries the money, is the mule, right? Like Clint Eastwood movie.
And they basically implicated. They didn't put a lot of time into this, but they basically implicated Zuckerberg. And his money going into all this stuff.
Zuckerberg, his implication in this is he paid $470 million worth of drop boxes. He bought them. People, and also sold.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember all that.
People.
I didn't know that.
People think.
I
thought the drop boxes were put there by the government.
Yeah.
This was going on as the pandemic was going on, and you didn't hear about it because you were so focused on the pandemic and wearing a mask. And all these drop boxes were being placed in strategic places, and people were taking these, and they used the excuse, since you can't go can't go nowhere, so we got to have mail-in ballots. So they take this was a perfect way to commit a crime and harvest ballots and throw them in these boxes, and nobody knows, because we're not going to leave our homes, so we have to vote. Right. This is how they did it.
And
Mark Zuckerberg gets to look like this great person that donated all this money.
Correct.
Getting out the vote.
And they're doing it
all set up.
And they're doing it outside the government, as you say, Martin. You're surprised. Yeah, it's outside the government. Somebody else is doing this stuff.
Even the data collection. I mean, that sounds like serious government spying. They're able to. Anybody's able to buy all this.
Yeah.
In all this data.
That's a whole other matter.
The amazing thing is for a guy who's not computer savvy is how they're able to take. I don't know how big a terabyte is, but it sounds terribly big. And they're able to manipulate that information to find these people doing these acts.
Yeah.
On these.
Once we could vote through the computer, it was all over, because the computer can change anything. Okay. They can take 1/4 of a vote and make it a 1.5 vote. Okay. It should always have been where one body goes to the voting booth and pushes a bing, and that's it. It should be no other way than a physical body going in to get your vote, unless you're on the armed forces. And even when you're on armed forces, you got to go through certain rules and regulations just to cast a ballot. Not just go fill out a ballot on your kitchen table, eating eggs and bacon, run down to the ballot box and drop it in. There's no way you should be allowed to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Way. Robert, you might have to back off slightly. I think you're coming in kind of hot on your mic. Is anyone else hearing real loud? Is that me?
No, that's good for me.
Maybe you're okay. Maybe you're okay. Robert, I completely agree with what you're saying here, and that is, we've gone way beyond. I mean, even Trump was saying, "Hey, we should have one election day,"
That's
right?
it.
There's a lot of real basic stuff. Show an ID. This is not brain surgery here. This is like real basic stuff. Show an ID, one day, certain hours. Obviously, the more you stretch your hours out, the more fraud is capable. They know that. Everybody knows that. And then having this pandemic thing come in, this fake. Oh, can't say much about that either.
We're gone.
You can't.
We're gone.
That's it right there.
Bye.
All right, we'll see you next week, folks.
I'm glad it was you first, Pat, because I was afraid I was going to be the first one.
But okay, hopefully we're still on. But anyway, yeah, I mean, once you had this, and they just made this thing ratcheted up so that people, okay, they put the rationale in for these stupid drop boxes, right? You had to go out and go to these things, and we got to keep everybody away from each other and all this nonsense. And we couldn't line up together on election day and all this crazy stuff.
It made it a perfect scenario.
It was
perfect.
Perfect storm.
Perfect storm. Correct.
Perfect storm.
They had these people, these donkeys, delivering these ballots, handfuls of them in the middle of the night. Even in the daytime, there just wasn't that many people around because there were shutdowns, and so it was the perfect scenario.
Yeah. So did you explain anything about the movie? We kind of got with the movie, right? They bought all this data and they triangulated what they do to get cell phone data on where people are going. I think I can use the word by itself. Mules, hopefully.
Yeah.
All these mules out there. And they pay these guys, and they go to different drop boxes, and they take other people's ballot. The way they get the ballot sometimes is sick, by the way. They went into that in the movie too, how
old people
they capitalize on old ill people. Yeah, and they'll get their ballots.
Speak English, they trick them.
Dead people.
Don't, all that stuff. Dead people on the rolls. It's a mess. Okay, did we explain it well enough? Do people kind of get the idea? Go ahead. Go ahead.
They're able to look. And what the data analysts call a pattern of life. So
One second, Brian. Did anybody have an audio issue? I don't hear an audio issue. Mind Over Energy is saying there's some audio issue. I don't know. I hear everybody fine. Let me know if you don't. Go ahead, Brian.
The data analysis develop what they call a pattern of life, which is like a mapping for certain devices. And when a device, it's a cell phone, and they can actually make a map of where the mule traveled, where he went, at what hour, through time. And so that's how they found these people and were able to really prove positive people were doing something so aberrational, if I can use it. It's so out of the ordinary. Go to one of these profit Democratic organizations, stop there, go to 5 ballot boxes, go back to another Democratic organization, then go back to other ballot boxes. This is such out of the ordinary.
But Brian, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is.
And
I know where you're going.
That it just wasn't some guy doing it for his mother.
No, right? It was obviously there. They set
the criteria so high.
They set the criteria so high that it obviously was being done, and they, I think, proved their point to the average person who has some type of sense. So we're going to agree with that.
I would call it beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes, I would.
At the court standard.
I agree. Go ahead, Robert.
Well, as this was all going on, I mean, in the heat and the heart when they were doing this,
yes,
we saw it. The senators saw it. The Republicans saw it. Everybody knew this was. I won't say the word. Everybody knew this was going on. They would say, they'd get on media. They would say it, with their cameras and their microphones, and they would say all this was going on. But no one, not even the Supreme Court, no one did anything to stop it.
Yeah.
So why are we listening to this gentleman just telling us exactly how it went down when we saw it going down and
Well,
knew it was going down at that moment.
I
Well,
will say, you know,
okay,
there was part of in the movie where they had a panel of people that came together and commented on the movie, and Charlie Kirk was one of them. And in the movie, he said that, you know, the American people had seen bits and pieces of corruption, but until D'Souza put this all together in a coherent fashion, it kind of gelled with evidence, with backup evidence, and to the point where I think you can honestly say now that Trump was right. He was right. The people that came to the Capitol on January 6th were right. There was a systematic fraud. I can't say too many words here. Also, you know, the lights go out.
Well, I'll say this. Speaking about the Capitol, can any one of you gentlemen just walk up the stairs, go in the door, and go down to the floor when all the dignitaries are in the building? How many people? A fly couldn't even get in there, but we got on the floor.
Yeah.
How's that possible?
Yeah, that's a setup.
Well, that's a setup. That's a whole nother show probably, and I'm gonna have to have another whiteboard on this platform. That's for sure. That's another thing as well. So let's talk about this. Let's get down to the nitty gritty of what, and I was searching for someone's comment. I think it was Fabian was saying the same thing. This is getting to the nub of what Robert is asking. What you're really saying in so many words is basically, what is the point? They already saw, I think you answered it well though, Brian, because I do believe there were things shown here. You can say we already know. Yeah, we already knew certain things in our gut. But as I said, I think to you last night, Robert, sometimes like in a court of law, you got to present evidence beyond your gut. And there was more evidence provided here in this kind of, now I've seen other movies about other kinds of cheating.
Yeah. Like
right?
Liddell.
Yeah, I've seen other kinds of things,
He's
but I haven't
the voting data, you know, systems.
Yeah. So the computer things and all that's a whole nother can of worms.
Whole other subject.
Yeah,
a whole nother
focused on the ballot stuffing.
You know what the real proof is? They're willing to, and they have already contacted law enforcement. And so if you're willing to go to law enforcement with your proof, you better have your proof in order.
Yeah.
And they know that. And so to me, that's the proof that what they're saying is true. And
I believe law enforcement already has the proof. They're just not having the will to do it.
Well, here's the thing.
Okay.
I agree with that. And this is what I was trying to get across to you too. To me, I think about what is the point of this? And you can say, well, there's no point because we already know it's cheating and they just backed off. So let's, move on and forget about it or whatever. But I'm thinking, whenever you see a ray of light somewhere, you got to go to it. You got to search it out and try it. And in this thing, I think it's what I think it can accomplish, because I was going to ask you guys, and I might as well cut to the chase here. What do you think it will accomplish or not accomplish? But I already understand, Robert, you think it may not accomplish anything, but I think it may accomplish certain things. There's certain things that this can accomplish, right? Starting with building the public's momentum more and more towards seeing what's going on. That's number one. Go ahead, Robert. You want to jump in? I mean, go ahead, Robert.
Here's where the American people, all the people we voted in, have a chance. And this is this midterm election and the next presidency. If they do not do anything with this midterm elections and not go for all the illegalities that has happened on to the president, then we're lost. It is a waste of time.
I agree. Yeah. In Arizona, they did a big investigation that the movie didn't cover, but they did a big investigation there, and nothing came of it. Nothing came of it.
Right. And so along these lines, I'm hearing, Fabian saying, hey, they went to the Supreme Court. We've heard that. Robert said that. Daphne was asking, yes, but what do we do? And so on. Go ahead, Ryan.
This has got to be a word of mouth thing. We need to open our mouths. This movie's being shadow banned, right? I mean, you can't talk about it on Fox News.
Well.
You can't even.
Or Newsmax.
Or they won't allow.
Not even Newsmax. Not
Really?
even-
What is that?
Okay,
What, is that,
okay,
what does
okay.
that tell you?
Okay, hang on a
Wow.
second. You know, along those lines, guys, okay? I'm going to take a little over 2 minutes and we're going to show a quick video regarding that, all right? Hang in there.
All right.
But the point to make is that this is a phenomenon, but we have done that with no help. I should say no help from either Fox News or from Newsmax. So let's talk about Fox in a minute. But with Newsmax, it's kind of a pity. I think these guys they got a little burned because of the Dominion stuff. They've become so skittish about the topic. I was booked to go on Grant Stinchfield's show, and then literally hours later, canceled. We're not going to talk about the movie, and as far as I know, they still haven't. So, but I mean, Newsmax is Newsmax, so kind of who cares?
Yeah.
But Fox News is a different matter. Again, you know, it's a little unfortunate because I've been going on Fox News almost weekly to talk about various issues. And, you know, part of my reason for doing that is not just because I like visibility. It's partly because I say, you know what, I'll do them a favor, and then I'll have a book out, I'll have a movie out, and they'll get behind it. I'm not saying they have to agree with it, but I mean, this may seem a little shocking to you, but, you know, I think the purpose of a podcast like this is to level with you. And so recently, you may have noticed that Catherine Engelbrecht of True the Vote went on Tucker Carlson's show, and they talked about geo-tracking, and they talked about True the Vote. No mention of 2,000 Mules. And a lot of people were like, what's going on? What's going on? And for a while there, I was just silent about it because this is the problem with Fox News is they essentially they feel like we have you. You know what I mean? You can't get off the reservation because we can crucify you. This is the underlying.
And to be fair, we did want for Catherine and Greg's work to be known, because that's the whole purpose for doing a movie about their work. And we told them this from the very beginning.
So Tucker Carlson and his producer told Catherine Engelbrecht, we'll have you on, but do not mention 2,000 Mules. Don't mention it. We forbid you to mention it at all. And so Catherine was actually very embarrassed. And they were like, what, Dinesh? They told me about it. And I was like, listen, you know what? We want the message to get out. So you know what? Go on Tucker. I'm not asking you to boycott Tucker or not go on the show. Go on the show. But I mean, think of what a disgrace this is, and what a again, as Debbie's saying, we're not saying that you have to praise the movie, but you have a movie that has all this information and everyone is talking about it, and you're telling your guests don't mention the movie. There's a long story here with Tucker, and maybe someday I don't necessarily want to go into it today.
There you go, guys. Newsmax. You know what Fox did? We all know that Fox did an early call in Arizona against Trump. Totally outrageous based on politics.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right.
But I just wrote that off as it's just the news division doing that.
They won't talk about it, as he said. And he even used the name, by the way. I don't know how he was able to use the name. Maybe because his channel's big enough. I noticed he was able to use the name on that thing right there. But other people are getting caught up. But yeah, that was Fox won't even talk about this stuff on their channel. Newsmax won't deal with it. Fox won't deal with it. I don't know about OANN because I don't really watch them right now, but that's why we're here. That's why we're putting this stuff out, because we've got to get around these people.
Yeah, it's almost underground the way it's got to be. The word's got to get out. It's got to be from person to person. You know, you got to tell people to see the movie. Democrats especially. They've heard all this crap about the 2020 election being the most secure election in American history and all this garbage. They've never heard really about the corruption.
Well, you know what, though, Brian, I don't think they really care, because they see us as Nazis, and anything is fair in love and war. And so they don't really care as long as they win.
To a lot of them.
If they refuse to see the movie, then say the heck with it and find somebody else that maybe is a moderate. Something like that. But
well, I hope y'all folks don't think that the movie is going to save the day. There's a lot more behind this. It's really
Robert, the movie is
evil and corruption. Okay,
I disagree. The movie is the thing of the moment. You have to capture the moment.
The movie is a specific group of facts that has been put together in a very concise fashion.
Yes,
and it's very convincing. The movie is very convincing because it's been done scientifically. This guy, Greg Phillips, the data election analysis, been doing it for 40 years. He's been doing it all over the world. And he has come to the conclusion, and they've run the numbers. Okay, if you had 1,100 mules in Philadelphia delivering at least 50 ballots, and remember, this is only like 5% of the ballot drop boxes in the country. This is a very small percentage. There could have easily been 20,000 of these donkeys. This is a very small percentage.
Well, they said in the movie there was like an estimated 54,000.
Right.
There's a lot.
What I'm saying, Robert, is this is something that we can point to and say, hey, look, you've heard all this other crap. Here's a documentary that's very specific about just one part of the election. And it's convincing beyond a reasonable doubt that Trump won.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys.
I think they already know he won.
No. Here's what it is. Let me put it to you in simple terms, Robert. This movie is like a weapon that's put into your hands when you're in a war. It's like a surface-to-air missile. You can use it. I think when someone puts something like this in your hands, you use it to get whatever mileage you can out of it as quickly as you can while it's still hot.
So we're going to take
if you don't use it, you're making a big mistake, because then you can just keep complaining that nothing. Like, I'm going to bring up another comment here from Fabian. And I don't want to pick on you, Fabian, and he's saying, okay, there are already several moves ahead of us. This is just one comment, because Fabian's made a lot. Fabian, my good friend, likes to comment. No problem with that. I don't need to keep you quiet, Fabian. So he says they are already several moves ahead of us, I believe. Evil here is very advanced, CCP, blah, blah, blah. Tucker is not as good, in my opinion. Okay, my opinion is, and I feel the same way when you say some of these things, Robert, to be honest. I feel like there's a lot of kind of negative Nelly kind of stuff.
It's a defeatist attitude.
Defeatist attitude. It's like whatever we put up, whatever we're trying to do, it's like, nah, that's not good enough. Forget it.
Not with me. It's not a defeatist attitude.
Tell me what your plan. You guys say a lot about what we can't do. I want to know what we can do. If you're going to say we can't do anything and might as well throw our hands up in the air, what can we do?
Doing is standing up for what's right.
No.
Not let fear.
No.
Take over. Vote him out.
Robert.
Why is a certain person not the president?
Robert, I don't like that either. What we should have done. We all know what we should have done. That's the past. That's not the present. What we have control over right now is the present, not what we didn't do in the past. What do you want to just hang our heads because we didn't do something before and just give our country up?
You know what?
I'm not saying any of those things.
What?
But
you are saying that because all you're doing is talking about what we did.
You're saying I'm saying that, but I'm not saying.
Hands.
Let me just give you a chance, Robert. What are you saying? If we're not supposed to be doing these things, what should we be doing?
Patrick, why are you saying we're not supposed to be doing this? All I'm saying is the things that were already, that information you're getting from the mules has already been put out. It's already been.
No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't.
How come I knew about it?
You didn't know about it.
You knew bits and pieces.
What do you mean? I did know about it.
You didn't know the details of this. You didn't know the details.
Yes, they're using. Yes, they're going around with the cell. I know all about how that's working.
You didn't have proof of it. You did not have proof until this movie.
You can't prove it with this.
You didn't have proof of it.
You do have proof.
How is he going to go into a court of law and prove that?
Rob,
you don't need a court of law. You need a court
of the senators and the congressmen do their job and get the crooks out that undercut all this in the beginning.
But what you don't understand, hang on. What you don't understand is the purpose, in my opinion. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong. The purpose of this is to get the people's momentum behind, so they push the corrupt officials. That's what it's for. It's a court of public opinion we're trying to win right now.
We're talking about the 2020 election, the mid-term election. Is that correct?
Well, we're beyond that. I mean, winning that would be great, but prosecuting the people involved, putting a stop to this stuff, and maybe beyond. I'm going to ask you guys what else.
Exactly what I'm saying. Why weren't we doing that before?
No. Not why weren't we doing it before. What can we do now?
A show of hands, gentlemen. How many of you predicted that this would be ignored by major news outlets like Newsmax and Tucker Carlson? How many thought this would happen? Wow, I didn't.
How many thought what would happen?
That the movie would be like
Shadow ban.
Well,
Shadow.
I was a little
Oh,
concerned.
absolutely.
I was concerned because Fox is not dealing with this election. So yeah, I'm concerned.
Look who owns Fox. Who owns Fox?
The Rupert Murdoch family.
Right.
Yeah,
And what do you think he is? You obey his rule. Period.
Yeah.
True,
The kids that took over it were more liberal than even the father was.
It is very disheartening for me to see Tucker, ignore this movie. I mean, just like
a matter of
All
time.
right.
They're basically told, do this or you're off the air. I mean, it's like, you want this platform, then you better follow the rules.
Yeah.
And so now, Brian, let's just stay on that point. So that means he's more concerned with his money, fame, and fortune than telling the truth when it gets to his front door. Is that correct? So why would he not put it on?
Because he has a bigger picture of stuff that he is able to talk about. And so, yeah, he has to compromise a little bit here to maintain this, just like we're not saying the words.
Yeah.
2000.
I just didn't think that this would be.
Well, that's a major
like
compromise, though, because it's so important, right?
Yeah.
That's a pretty major compromise, in my opinion.
But we can't even say the name of the film.
I know. But if we can at least get across the idea, I'm not too worried about this on this platform, right? I think we're getting the idea across. I don't think we're being stopped here from getting what we need to say out there. Right?
Look, what I'm saying is this movie is so convincing. Look, they have 4 million minutes of official state ballot box surveillance camera video. 4 million minutes, and they can overlap it with the geo-tracking to see people actually going to the drop boxes. And this is official documents. I mean, official state video. They have to buy it through the Freedom of Information. They don't have to buy it, but they have to go through the Freedom of Information Act. It's quite a laborious thing, but they did it. Greg Phillips and his team did this, and True the Vote did this. And it's very, very convincing. So
the people are going to have to do it, right?
Point to, and I say, like you said, Robert, there's a lot of
us, Democrats
that will say, I don't want to hear about it. Find somebody else that will. Listen, I heard an interview with D'Souza just recently on Getter, the app Getter.
Yeah.
And he's on the verge of having Joe Rogan interview him. If Joe Rogan's got several million subscribers.
Yeah.
If that gets out like that.
11 million.
Yeah, it's huge. If that gets out like that, all of a sudden the dam starts to break.
Yeah.
We have Elon Musk coming into Twitter. Who knows what is going to happen there? There's openings that are.
Thanks a lot, Brian. That helps. Because I was like disheartened by Tucker ignoring this story.
It is. It's very disheartening. It's like this guy's.
Y'all should not be disheartened.
What would you guys like to see or expect to see, like to see, want to see come out of this movie?
Like I said, like you said, this is a tool. This is a weapon, and I'd like to see people be weaponized with it.
What to what end? To what is the end goal? Do you think?
Well, number one is
clean up the elections.
Yes, because
is it clean up the elections?
This has been going on for years and years, and it didn't start then. It started years and years and years ago. It started probably back with Bob Dornan in Orange County.
Oh yeah.
This is
may have.
Like Robert said, as soon as there's been computers doing this, it's open. It's wide open for fraud.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I concur with you, Robert, on that. And so we have
the people, the little man is going to really get. I don't want to use that word, Patrick. Frustrated when he goes to the gas pump.
I thought you were going to use it.
When he goes to get food, okay. When he goes to get medical attention, when he sees how he can't afford it now, the little man's going to have it. He's going to get fed up with that.
Yeah.
And he's going to want answers, and he's going to want our congressmen and our senators to do their job. No more talking. It's time.
So therefore, but it sounds like you're making kind of our point as well. Like, if it can be a tool to push the average person to push the elected officials, then it's done.
The average person doesn't have $30 to see the movie. So are you going to take a couple $100 and donate the movie? It's not your movie.
No,
am I going to donate? Why would I donate?
Because it doesn't belong to you.
Right.
Also on that podcast that I saw D'Souza on, he's greatly reducing the price there was just the premiere and stuff like that.
Good.
$29.
Good.
But you could buy the movie for $30. You can view it for $20. But that's all going to go down so that anybody can see the movie.
So election fraud. If we can clean up election fraud, is
that'll
that
be
the goal? Are we agreed on that point? That's
absolutely
huge.
Okay. Are there any other things that you can see or you'd want to see come out of this movie?
Well, I want to see people realize that they're being fed a bunch of crap every day.
24 hours a day.
Yeah. And that wake up.
It's on BitChute for free, Fabian said.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is. That's where I've seen it.
Okay.
There you go. Okay.
You can see it on hdtoday.tv, where they play films and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I'd like to give D'Souza a few bucks because he went through a lot here,
I think he's did a lot. I think the guy should be completely just congratulated for doing that kind of work. It's quite amazing.
He says it was an interesting, well put together documentary, well produced. I enjoyed it.
It was.
One other thing, I believe that all behind this, I mean, I'm a Bible believing, God fearing person, so. Satan is going to do whatever he can to bottleneck any goodness that's going on, mm-hmm. And God, on the other hand, if he's going to always show the truth, he's never going to hide it. You just have to have not the fear to accept what is going on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of fear going on right now. And that's what Satan is using as his tool.
Absolutely. Fear. Not Tucker. That's another story. But Dinesh was saying, to his credit, he was saying that if what he said there was enough to change the outcome
easily,
right?
Easily,
and therefore, which makes sense because a lot of us kind of see that. And he said,
he spelled it out in the movie. He showed exactly, what states were affected, and if those states were flipped, what would happen,
right.
and that was convincing.
Yeah, and he said that this guy should be president. And therefore, Robert's got his name
automatically.
And so that obviously, that should happen. I think that's a serious long shot. That would take a lot of muscle and a lot of getting it out really far and a lot of push for that to be. I mean, that would take a lot of inertia. Personally, I think it's worth a shot. Go ahead, Martin. I'm sorry.
Pat, and Robert, Brian, I think Trump needs to get involved with this now and chastise Fox News for, not promoting this movie or at least giving it a shot. I mean, arguing about it, doing something.
Trump has had D'Souza at some of his rallies speaking for him.
Yeah, and he needs to step up for him now.
He does,
because it's only going to benefit him.
Yeah, he does. I agree. Yeah. He has been doing it in defense of Trump. He has been doing it, but he needs to do more. He needs to get behind this film.
I agree.
It's a weapon.
He needs to call out Fox News and that Newsmax. He needs to call out those organizations like he did CNN.
Have you noticed, fellas, that we're all pointing to this Trump, and we know that this guy has what it takes to get the job done. He's not a perfect man like neither of us. But he's a man with no fear.
Yes.
Okay. He'll get out in front of.
That sounds perfect to me.
And I was at one of his rallies, and I was the only black person there. Okay. And I saw the news media take pictures of me being the only black person there, and I was amazed just listening to him. It's a guy that you can have at the front desk at a breakfast table like a regular guy and talk to. It's amazing how
Well, it was obviously a mistake. I mean, I have my issues with some of the stuff that Trump has done, but overall he was great. Yeah, I have some serious issues with some of the things he's done, but overall he's the kind of guy that slipped through their dragnet. They didn't want Trump in there, just like they didn't want Reagan in. Reagan was assassinated, almost assassinated. He was shot. I don't know, all the background on that, but there's people like Reagan that slip through once in a while, and then Trump. They come through every generation or something like that.
Yeah.
And they do all they can to make sure it never happens again. That's why he got through one time and they said, no, we're not going to let this happen again.
Yeah.
Let me say, let me bring on one other point that this is kind of something that you've talked about too, Robert. I kind of want to just get this on the table so we deal with it. Okay. And this is one more thing for my friend Fabian. He said, all I am saying is, please see we are in end times and America is under clear judgment. Okay, just that point alone, some of us think that that's true. Robert, you probably,
I agree 100%.
You would agree with that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a good chance that we are in end times. I'm not sure, but I think there's a good chance of it. We act with what we can act with, but my faith is in Jesus, and I think we all basically agree with that. And his army, faith in something great by any, whatever he was saying, something else. But yeah.
Is Jesus a trip word to get you thrown off?
Jesus, yeah. Do I have to write that on the whiteboard too? But
yeah,
this is something I was talking with somebody else in my family about, and they were saying it's all about, we need to come back to God and all that. I agree with that. I think we all agree that there's nothing is going to happen, and I kind of wanted to get into that at least a little bit tonight. When I was talking about 2,000 donkeys / the enemy within, I'm not talking about the enemy within, meaning the leftists, which a lot of them are enemies within. But what I meant is the enemy that goes after all of us. There's an enemy that's inside all of us that's working on our mind and our heart and our soul.
Yeah.
And that is, if we could get, even if we were to have great success here, obviously, which would be phenomenal. I think we have to push it as hard as we can. Even when Trump was in there, I said this before, but even when Trump was in power, America was becoming great materially, but we were still sliding as a culture. So if we really want to become great, we have to become great I was watching a documentary on Gandhi today. I love Gandhi. I think Gandhi was a better Christian than almost all the Christians I know that call themselves Christians today. But we have to do what he was saying and become what do you say? The good we want to see in the world, we've got to become that. And America has to become that. We all have to do that. We all have to do the inside work to become the people we want to be, and therefore the nation we want to be. Because if we don't do that and we don't repent to God for the things that we've done wrong, even if we got this and we got Trump back in power and all that, we would still slide off the cliff eventually. And it wouldn't take that long the way the culture is going.
Yeah.
And what is the work?
Well, the work, I would say the work is what we talked about on this show many times. We talked about prayer, meditation, right?
Yes,
correct. Men speaking the truth no matter what.
Well, but that's not work. That's bad works, right?
Well, what it's doing is people is listening to this program, and they're going to try to pass along and start seeing for themselves.
Yeah,
just by what we're saying.
That's right.
We can't. We might be talking to a person in a grocery store. They might want to hear what we're saying. Just that one person, and that one person will go to the next.
Yeah,
that's how it gets out.
I agree.
That's how this movie would get out. I was listening to Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson, the psychologist. He was given a lecture to an audience, and he was taking questions. And one woman asked, because Jordan Peterson's all about, being a self-sustained human being, being a clear thinking human being, being a human being that is a complete put together type of a human being from the inside out.
Yes.
And she was saying, well, that's all great, Mr. Peterson, but, we have an environmental crisis going on. Everybody can't, go through therapy. And while the environment and everything falls apart and global warming and all this stuff, and he says, we don't have that luxury. And she's saying, don't you agree? And he says, no. He says, a lot of times when people look to the outside and try and correct things on the outside, it's only because they don't know how to correct the inside. It's like they're going to the external instead of the internal. And we've got to focus on it. We've got to get our stuff together inside. We've got to be able to see our flaws. We've got to be able to get up in the morning and like Jordan Peter says, make your bed and stand up tall, you know?
Yes. This is, you know what? I don't
In other words, Brian, they need to see your walk.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is what I see these guys arguing, and Fabian and Mr. Sandy LaFontaine. I love you guys, but you know, let's not get too far on the Trump is a bad guy trip or whatever. I agree with a lot of stuff you're saying, but we're talking about stuff right now that is the most important. It's not about Trump. It's not about somebody else. It's about you, and your relationship with God and your relationship with your fellow man. That's it.
When I hear this stuff, it's like, look, you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Right. 100%.
Reagan granted amnesty to 3 million.
He did. Right. He did.
What are we supposed to do? Abandon Trump? Abandon Reagan? And
no, 100%.
If we have a choice, right? Are you going to take the people who are leading us straight off a cliff, or are you going to choose somebody who actually did mostly great things for the country? He did some things that are very serious, whatever. Yeah. But when it comes to elections, you're going to do.
He made America feel like America. Okay, I'm just going to be honest with you.
But if you know what, if it wasn't for him,
I agree.
I agree. If it wasn't for him in certain ways, we could be no longer even here, not even having this discussion at all, because we'd be taken over by the Chinese by now.
Oh yeah.
So thank God that we're still here. We're able to criticize somebody like him.
Yeah.
Because of what he did. It's kind of ironic, right?
It is.
So
God will always bring someone about to do his bidding. Okay. And they all had faults, even in the Bible. But we did his bidding. Okay. Yep. And they weren't perfect men.
No.
Okay.
David was not a perfect man.
Absolutely not.
Hey,
he was a man after God, loved a man. He loved
Why were the apostles so insistent on we becoming perfect?
Yes, well,
that's
they walked with him.
Important thing.
No, that's a good question. That's a good question. I do want to say this to the chat, guys. We're not talking about the shots right now. Oh, I shouldn't even have said that. These things.
You're gonna get us in trouble.
Wow, I could have had a V8, right?
No, that's okay, Patrick.
Facepalm.
You're the man.
Cannot blame us.
You're the man running this show, so you're gonna make some mistakes. You're under tremendous pressure,
man. Hey. Anyway,
nice knowing you guys.
I don't want every discussion to degenerate into a thing about this guy is the devil. We can have discussions about that. It's really not a show about that today. And again, right now, the enemy is attacking everybody. So let's forget about for a moment how bad this guy is over here.
You know something?
Let's deal with ourselves.
Patrick, this Tucker Carlson thing is a mirror thing of what Trump failed to do with a certain issue, right?
Yes.
And then we see Carlson fail with a certain issue. So like Robert said, you're gonna, these things are gonna happen. You're gonna find the limitations of these men, and you're gonna be disappointed. But
you're right. You put too much faith. Right.
You know what? You know what? I have a website. It's called oldschoolus.com. You guys know, and a lot of people that watch this thing know, I put out a lot of stuff on this. I've told a lot of mistakes I've made over the past years, whatever. Do you know that there's some people that will not let me, they'll use what I've said as a confession, as a way to say that I'm a bad person now. Wow. And that everything I say can't be trusted because I did certain things in my past.
Wow.
They need to put a mirror in front of their face.
Well, Leo Terrell, he changed, and now he's Terrell 2.0.
Yeah.
And he's accepted. And who was that other radical woman who's on TV, different radio shows I think she had and stuff, and she converted.
Tammy Bruce.
Yeah, Tammy Bruce. So conversions do happen, and people who just don't like you just bring up the fact that because you did something in the past, you can no longer be trusted, kind of thing. But I don't agree.
We know people who are heroin addicts and came out of it. Are we looking at them as heroin addicts?
Yeah. No, I agree that in the case of Trump, he's still saying things. I think actually, I don't know how much he's saying right now, but he was for a while. I think he's kind of cooled off about bragging about certain, these things. And I think that's wrong, but the more he gets away from that and quits bragging about that and just gets back to, hey, whatever, if someone took this thing or if they didn't take this thing, just be for everybody's freedom. If they want to take it, go take it. Now, the information on these things needs to be put out, and that's a big problem too. We'll need to do another show on this, probably on another platform, but they've definitely kept the information so that people can save their lives off of these platforms, and that's a very sad thing.
Robert, got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you pray, how do you pray?
You know what? I pray all through the day, but in the morning,
how do you pray all through the day? How does that happen?
I just walk and just pray while I'm doing my work. I don't get on I get on my knees in the morning time and show kind of some respect or whatever. I just think it's comfortable for me. But I normally, like when I get in the car, I don't have my music going. I keep it totally quiet and just think and say, thank you, God, for this. Thank you, God, for taking me through this and that. It's nothing special that I say, okay? I just say, and then sometimes I go in the private room and say, thank you, God. Thank you for everything you're doing for me and your son. I appreciate you gave me this job. That's all there is to it. I pray all day long.
And
I don't
we're going
to, a morning and evening. I do that, but basically when I get the niche.
And we're going to have to do more. We're going to close pretty soon. I'm not trying to stop the conversation, but I don't want to go into necessarily too much of a new subject. I guess, you have your way, Martin.
No, I just wanted to ask that question as a closing.
Okay.
For, how we were talking about spiritual matters, yes, and then we got back to the political. And so I just wanted to wrap it up that way.
I got you.
And so I'm satisfied.
I got you. Yeah. We all have a way that we believe works, and we can show people. I think that in the long run, it's kind of like Robert was saying, that if people need to see what our religion is, right? If we said nothing and told people nothing about what we're doing, I think telling people is important too, because I think telling people, the shows that we do about showing people the How to Pray series, I think is great. But a lot of that though is what do we show people? Do our actions, do they, as there's an old song called they'll know we are Christians by our love.
Yeah.
And they should be able to know we are a Christian if we said 100%. Nothing.
It's like Robert said, it's the walk. What's the walk?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Go ahead, Martin.
Well, when I pray, there's two ways to pray. Of course, you can speak with your mouth, or you can just meditate. And I found the meditation is indispensable for like this whole show, right? I've been into the show, just there'd be something that I wanted to say, and so it would stay on my mind and stuff. But through the whole show, I have not been aware of myself as I'm speaking, kind of thing. And yeah, and that's where I want to be, actually, where I'm like observing myself as I'm speaking, as I'm doing things,
more
and
objective,
not just caught up in the moment of what's happening.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
And I think that kind of anchors me a lot more when I do that.
Yes. And by the way, yes, Fabian, we'll try to do I'll see what we can do about putting something on another platform to deal with some of this other stuff, but just understand what's doable really on certain platforms and what isn't. And we can either make that choice to, I think it's still, I think it's still useful. You guys tell me to do shows. I think the show's been very useful, even though we couldn't say everything and we're not talking about everything, but I think hopefully it's been useful to you guys.
You've opened your mouth up so much this time, Pat, we're toast.
We're seeing that. This is last night.
We might as well break bread and have the Last Supper.
Yeah. All right, guys. Closing comments, because I know there's 4 people here, so we're all talking over each other a little bit. Go ahead, Robert. Any closing comments from you?
Francis, I believe this is the last days, but it didn't mean that we stop being ourselves, go to work every day, and not be looking for it. We do our best that we can, pray to God, and hope that we make it. And, we know it's rough times, but have no fear and move on and try and say the right thing, no matter what, wherever it's at a grocery store or at a park, someone's going to come and ask you. and you need to be equipped with the information right there and not have no fear and not say anything.
All right. Thank you, man. And I put up your information again. If someone wants to email Robert, and he writes for Rapture Ready and Rapture Forums, and he's got great artists too. Hopefully you do something. Well, I've seen your art. Hopefully you get it out to more people at some point. Martin, go ahead. Last words. And there's your information on the screen.
Well, I mean, I've already said my last words, so I'll pass on that.
All right. Sergeant Francis on YouTube, Sergeant Francis at gmail.com.
Oh, by the way, my roommate, Greg Gergen, he's the one who kind of sparked me more to be aware of, he said something that was deep, and I've not forgotten it since he said it about, be aware of two things at the same time, not just what you're involved in, or not just the words that are coming out of your mouth or the actions that you're doing, but try to be aware of yourself.
You saying the words,
as you're doing these things.
Yeah.
And it will help you to be more calm when you're doing your daily routine in life.
Very good. Excellent.
And that's what the prayer, that's what that quiet prayer, that meditation helps you to do. It helps you to see those things.
It definitely helps. It definitely helps me and other people as well. All right. Very good. Thank you, Martin. Brian, any last words?
Yeah. Just overall, we're just human beings, and we need God's help. Mm-hmm. We need God's help. It reminds me of the time I was saying in the Bible where Peter actually started walking on water, but then he noticed the storm. And Jesus said, focus on me, basically, not the storm. We have to focus on Jesus, and we'll be able to do miraculous things that you would never imagine are possible, because it's not doing them. It's God through you. So focus on Jesus. Out there, it's a terrible storm out there. It's horrible. It's inhuman what's going on. But focus on Jesus, not the storm. And we can do miracles through him.
100%. 100%. And there's always got to be some church in here, man. We got to have some church, because this in these days, this is what I think part of the show is for, is to present something and give something, hopefully something that's encouraging to people and they can walk away with. The website, by the way, I didn't put this in here, but if you guys want to find out more about what we were talking about earlier, go to that website, and you go to others too, I guess, on BitChute and so forth. Get the information out, let people look at it, and get more and more in the hands of more and more people, right? So they can see it and they can be the push to whatever it's going to be, whatever is going to be the end game here. It's going to push our side of things. It's going to push the truth out. And it's going to have it's going to have some kind of positive effect. I don't know what it's going to be, but as we push it out, it's going to have a major positive effect. All right, guys. I think that's it. Guys, thank you so much for the chat. Thank you, Mind Over Energy. Thank you, Daphne. Thank you, Mr. Sandy LaFontaine, Fabian. You guys can kiss and make up now. All you guys that are fighting in the chat room. I understand your points, but this has got to be about our relationship with God first. Otherwise, nothing matters. No matter
nothing. Pat,
what's that?
You want my contact information?
Yeah, I put it up while you were talking.
It's don't call me. Leave me alone.
There you go. All right. So don't bother Brian. But Brian, thanks for all you guys. I think it was a very nice show, and hopefully people got something out of it. I hope if you guys want to subscribe to the Old School YouTube channel. If you want to contribute to the show, go to oldschoolus.com, oldschoolus.com, and you can contribute one time or monthly. We're going to do a lot more stuff. We're going to do more interviews. I hopefully want to do more of these. If you guys like them, we can continue doing them. I also want to do more single interviews with people as well. And so help out as you can. Thank you, everybody, for being with me, with us tonight.
Nice meeting you, Brian.
Likewise, Robert.
Yeah, and I think that's it. So thanks so much, guys. And we are out. Thank you for joining us on Declaration of Independence with Patrick Rooney. For more information on how to become more independent in a world that is moving quickly to take away your freedom, or to support this program, go to oldschoolus.com. See you next time.